You've probably seen the videos, maybe you felt that chill in the air yourself, or even noticed that weird kind of acrid smell. Across the UK, Canada, the US, even right here in Florida, people are reporting this fog and it's at. Well, it's not like anything they've seen before. It's really thick, it just lingers, and some people are saying it carries more than just moisture. It carries sickness. So could this actually be more than just some unusual weather? Could this mysterious fog be a government bioweapon? Welcome to the cool, weird, and possible. All right, so yeah, the moment we mentioned Fogvid-24, wow, your inbox is just lit up. You sent us articles, posts from social media, even some scientific papers you found, all basically asking the same thing. What is really going on with this fog? And I gotta admit, looking at some of the videos and reading through the notes you sent, it's definitely, well, it's unsettling.
It really is. This whole phenomenon, which, yeah, a lot of people are calling Fogvid-24, it's been picking up steam since late December 2024. The
Yeah.
reports are coming from all over, like you said. London, various U.S. states, Florida, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, California, Texas, the Midwest, Canada, too. And looking at the sources you shared, the descriptions are pretty consistent, aren't they?
That's the part that gets me. The accounts you sent describe it as, like, unusually sick. It just hangs there.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't dissipate. And then the smells people report, chemical, electrical, burning, some even said like fireworks or just toxic air.
Yeah.
But the really creepy part, the thing highlighted in a lot of the articles you pointed us to, are those videos, people shining flashlights into it and seeing what look like large particles or this fluffy white stuff just swirling around. It just doesn't seem like normal fog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the visual element is definitely striking. It makes an impact. And right alongside those observations, you've shared reports of people getting symptoms, right? Flu-like stuff, fever, cough, sore throat, headache, fatigue, irritated eyes even. Some of you mentioned people getting, quote, severely unwell, basically as soon as the fog rolled in. Even folks who said they hadn't been sick in, like, a decade. So it's really no surprise that all these theories have bubbled up trying to explain it all.
Oh, and the theories are wild. Reading through the ones you pointed out in the posts, I mean, they range from Fogvid-24 being some new engineered pathogen, drawing those direct lines to, past pandemic conspiracy theories. And then there's the big one, a government bioweapon or a chemical attack. Some of you even flagged those videos showing drones flying overhead during the fog, which, yeah, that definitely feeds the speculation about mass spraying, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It adds a layer of, well, visual evidence for those inclined to believe it. And then there's the more, let's say, tech-focused theory you've highlighted, smart dust. The idea that those swirling particles you see in the flashlight beam are actually tiny wireless government sensors for surveillance. Some sources you sent even try to connect this back to DARPA patents from the 90s.
Right. And I saw some posts linking it to Morgellons disease, too. That belief about skin parasites, which, science doesn't back up at all. It's amazing how people connect these dots, though, across totally different ideas. And, of course, the old chemtrails theory is back. The plane contrails supposedly being chemical agents. Now it's chemtrails plus fog. And maybe my personal favorite, some folks suggesting it's aliens or alien spores carried in the fog. I mean, it's pure sci-fi territory.
They definitely capture the imagination. You can't deny that. But, okay, to really get a handle on what might be happening, we need to step back and look at the actual science first. Let's just start with the basics. What is fog, really? It's just a visible mass of tiny water droplets, or sometimes ice crystals, suspended in the air right near the ground.
Okay, that sounds simple enough. But how does it form? And why would it suddenly seem so weirdly thick or have those smells people are reporting?
Right, so it forms when the air cools down to its dew point. That's basically the temperature where the air gets saturated. It can't hold any more water vapor. So that extra vapor condenses into tiny liquid water droplets we can see. Think about like an iced tea glass on a really humid day. Those water droplets on the outside, that's condensation, same idea. Now about those particles people are seeing with flashlights, that's actually a totally normal optical effect. When you shine a bright light through any dense, medium fog, mist, even dust, you're just seeing the individual droplets or particles reflecting the light back at you. It makes them visible. It's not some weird foreign material swirling in there. It's just physics, how light works in fog.
Okay, so the visuals might have a simple explanation. But what about the sickness, all those flu-like symptoms people are reporting? The timing just seems too perfect for some of the people you heard from.
That's a really key point. And it's where we have to be super careful about correlation versus causation. The symptoms being reported, the fever, cough, sore throat, headache, fatigue, these are textbook symptoms for common seasonal respiratory illnesses. We're talking colds, the flu, RSV, and yes, still COVID-19 variants. And these illnesses peak during the colder months, late fall and winter, which is exactly when these fog reports spiked, around the holidays into the new year. So while people might genuinely feel unwell at the same time the fog is present, there's currently no scientific evidence showing the fog itself is deploying a new virus or directly causing these widespread symptoms. It's much more likely just overlapping timing with the regular sick season.
I get the scientific logic there, I do. But those smells people describe chemical, electrical, burning that still feels really off to me. And clearly to many of you who wrote in, what's the science explanation for that?
Yeah, the smell aspect is important, and that's where the environment really comes into play. Fog has this ability to trap and concentrate pollutants that are already in the air. Think about emissions from cars, industry, wood-burning stoves, things like sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxides, fine particulate matter, PM2.5. When dense fog settles, especially during what's called a temperature inversion, where air layers don't mix well, these pollutants get concentrated near the ground. So you suddenly perceive those smells much more strongly. It's not necessarily a new chemical being sprayed, it's the existing pollution getting amplified by the fog. Plus, the high moisture content in fog can irritate airways and exacerbate existing respiratory issues like asthma, making people more sensitive to those trapped pollutants.
Okay, so the fog itself isn't toxic, but it can trap and concentrate existing pollution, making the air genuinely worse to breathe and smell weird.
Exactly. It makes the invisible visible, or at least smellable.
So the natural world, combined with our own pollution, seems to offer explanations for the fog, the particles, the symptoms, the smells. But for a lot of people, these theories aren't just about what they're seeing right now. They tap into something deeper, right? A history of mistrust. Which brings us to those uncomfortable historical kernels of truth you found in your research, the things that kind of fuel these fears today.
You're absolutely right. While the current Fogvid-24 theories lack direct evidence, history does provide precedents that unfortunately feed public skepticism and mistrust. It's undeniable. For instance, between 1949 and 1969, the U.S. military actually conducted aerosol experiments over American cities, including San Francisco. They used artificial fog sometimes to release bacteria, specifically Bacillus glabigii, which was considered harmless, a simulant to study potential germ warfare scenarios, how agents might spread.
Wait, they actually sprayed bacteria over U.S. cities, even if it was supposedly harmless. That's pretty shocking. You can immediately see why people wouldn't trust official explanations about strange atmospheric events after hearing that.
It is shocking, isn't it? And Leonard Cole's book, Clouds of Secrecy, it details some of this. He reported that during one multi-hour test over San Francisco, essentially the entire population, around 800,000 people then, inhaled thousands of these bacterial particles per minute. Now again, these were simulants, not weaponized pathogens in these specific public tests. But the fact that it was done unannounced over a civilian population, that's the kernel of truth that resonates. These documented historical actions, however different from current claims, get remembered, distorted sometimes, and used to bolster present-day fears.
And it wasn't just those tests, was it? History has other, much darker examples of biological warfare being used or developed.
Sadly, yes. Biological agents have been weaponized or attempts made throughout history. You can go way back to ancient times, Hittites supposedly using plague victims, Assyrians poisoning wells. Then fast forward, World War I saw Germany attempting biological sabotage with anthrax and glanders. During World War II, things escalated dramatically. The UK had important down research in those infamous anthrax tests on Greenard Island. The US established major research programs like at Fort Detrick. And then there was Japan's Unit 731. Truly horrific stuff. Human experimentation, deploying plague-infected fleas against Chinese cities, just awful.
It's chilling to think about, that humans actually planned and did these things.
It is. And even during the Cold War, after many nations signed treaties supposedly banning these weapons, the Soviet Union secretly maintained a massive offensive bioweapons program called Biopreparat. We know about this partly because of accidents, like the 1979 Sverdlovsk anthrax leak. An accidental release from a bioweapons facility caused dozens, maybe up to 100 human fatalities, and affected livestock hundreds of kilometers away. So these historical events, even decades old, they linger in the collective consciousness. They create a baseline of, well, it had happened before, which makes it easier for people to believe it could happen again, even with something like this fog.
So this fear isn't just pulled out of thin air. It's rooted in some genuinely terrifying history. And didn't one of the articles you shared mention an old patent too? Something about artificial clouds.
Ah, yes. Someone dug up a 1916 patent by Paul Weiss and Jules Verdier for an intense artificial cloud machine. Now, it expired way back in 1937 and has absolutely no connection to anything happening today. But for those searching for puzzle pieces, it looks like another bit of historical proof to fuel speculation. And we should also remember, beyond military actions or conspiracy theories, there have been genuinely hazardous fogs caused by industrial pollution, like the Denora smog in Pennsylvania in 1948. A temperature inversion trapped pollutants from steel mills and zinc plants, creating a toxic fog that directly led to the loss of 20 lives and sickened thousands. Or more recently, that 2003 killer fog incident in Tennessee near Calhoun. Industrial emissions from a paper mill combined with fog, causing a horrific 100-vehicle pileup with 12 fatalities, shows that fog plus pollution can be dangerous.
Okay, so there's a clear difference between these past events, both military and industrial, and the current theories about Fogvid-24. But the history explains why the fear exists. So connecting this to the bigger picture now, if these weapons and tests were real, what's being done globally to prevent anything like that from happening again? Are there safeguards?
That's a really important question. And yes, the international community has taken significant steps. The big one is the Biological Weapons Convention, the BWC, from 1972. It was groundbreaking, the first multilateral treaty to ban an entire category of WMDs. It prohibits developing, producing, stockpiling, acquiring, or using biological and toxin weapons. It establishes a strong international norm against them.
So it's a treaty, a binding agreement between many countries, not just a suggestion.
Exactly. It represents a global consensus that these weapons are unacceptable. However, there are ongoing challenges. One is the dual-use problem. Advances in biology and biotechnology, things that are amazing for medicine or agriculture, could potentially be misused for harmful purposes. Think about powerful gene editing tools like CRISPR-Cas9, revolutionary for science, but they also lower the barrier, potentially, for someone with nefarious intent to try and engineer dangerous pathogens. It's a difficult line to manage. And there's always the concern about non-state actors, terrorist groups trying to get their hands on biological agents. They can be hard to detect, relatively cheap compared to other WMDs, and could cause widespread panic.
Okay, that makes sense. There are rules, but also real challenges. Which brings me back to something many of you asked in your messages. If there are these global rules and scientific explanations for the fog, why do these Fogvid-24 type theories catch on so fast and spread so widely, especially online, it feels like? Like brain rot sometimes, people just believing sensational stuff.
Hey, brain rot is a harsh term, but it taps into a real frustration. There are a few key factors, I think. First, as we touched on, there's a baseline level of mistrust in government and official institutions. For some people, it's quite high. Past actions, lack of transparency, perceived failures, they all contribute. Then you have social media platforms, TikTok, X, others. They are designed to spread information rapidly, whether it's verified or not. Sensational claims often get more engagement, so the algorithms can amplify them. This creates echo chambers where unfounded fears and anxieties just bounce around and get reinforced. And maybe it's not quite brain rot, but certainly the sheer volume of information, often conflicting, can lead to a kind of fatigue. It makes people exhausted, anxious, and maybe more susceptible to simple, albeit scary, explanations rather than digging into nuance. Uncertainty is uncomfortable.
That makes a lot of sense. The distrust, the algorithms, the information overload. It's a potent mix. So what does all this mean for us, for U-lifting? How do we navigate this fog of information, literally and figuratively?
Well, first and foremost, this whole situation really hammers home the need for critical thinking. We have to question what we see online, especially sensational claims, and crucially, rely on credible sources. When you hear something alarming about health or the environment, check with official health organizations like the CDC or WHO, your local meteorological services, established scientific bodies. Look for evidence-based information. But beyond just debunking theories, this fog situation, as many of your sources rightly pointed out, is also a symptom. It shines a light on a much bigger, very real issue: climate change and pollution. Climate change is altering weather patterns, changes in humidity, temperature, air currents. These can create conditions favorable for more frequent or denser fog formation in some areas. And as we discussed, the fog then acts like a lid, trapping the pollutants we're already putting into the air, making the air quality worse and potentially hazardous.
So it's less about a secret weapon in the fog and more about the fog revealing the consequences of our everyday actions and industrial processes.
Exactly. It's a visible reminder of ongoing environmental challenges. So protecting ourselves means staying informed about local air quality. Use air quality apps or websites. Limit your time outdoors when air quality is poor. And if you have respiratory issues or if air quality is particularly bad, wearing a well-fitting N95 or KN95 mask when outside can genuinely help filter out those concentrated particulates.
Okay, so practical steps for protection. But what about tackling the root causes? What can we as individuals listening to this actually do about the bigger picture, the pollution, the climate change that this fog seems to be highlighting?
That's the crucial next step, moving from awareness to action. And there's actually a lot we can do, both individually and collectively. Individual actions do matter. Reducing your own carbon footprint, maybe driving less, using less energy at home, supporting businesses that prioritize sustainability, eating less meat, these things add up when many people do them. But we also absolutely need systemic change. And that's where collective action comes in. It means holding our elected officials accountable, asking them what they're doing about air quality regulations and climate policy, demanding stronger rules for polluters. It means supporting clean energy initiatives in your community, engaging with local environmental groups, voting for candidates who take these issues seriously, even participating in peaceful advocacy or protests if you feel strongly.
It sounds like it's about using our voices and our choices.
Precisely. The power of knowledge here is huge. Understanding these connections between the fog, pollution, climate change, even historical mistrust and disinformation equips you to make informed decisions and to make a difference. Share what you learn with others, raise awareness in your own circles, inspire others to think critically and to take action too.
Wow. So this mysterious fog and all the questions you brought to us about it, it really has been a wake-up call, hasn't it? A kind of stark reminder that our world is all interconnected and, yeah, our actions definitely have consequences. But maybe it's also a powerful call to action for you. Stay curious, absolutely. Stay informed from good sources. And most importantly, maybe find a way to get involved in creating a cleaner, healthier future for everyone. It leaves us with a final thought, I suppose. In a world where reality often feels stranger than fiction and where bad information can spread like wildfire, how do we get better at telling the real threats apart from the manufactured fears? And what's our own personal responsibility in shaping the truth we share and encounter every day? Thanks for diving deep with us today. If you want to keep exploring the cool, the weird, and the possible, make sure you subscribe to our channel.